How's it going, boys? Trick here with another ultimate mage, fire, and ice PvP PvE build, baby. Let's do it. Before we go ahead, for those that don't know me, my name is Trick. I've been playing New World basically since it came out, since day one, and I've been playing Fire Mage, Ice Mage the whole time. I've been playing that class the whole time. I haven't changed to any other class, not even for one day. Maybe for a couple of hours just to try them new, but I have always been Mage, and I know a lot of the new tricks and new new stuff for the Fire and Ice Mage, and I'm here to share it with you guys. This is the 2,000 hour guide. Previously, about a month and a half ago, I made a 1,000 hour guide, maybe even further back. I don't even remember when I did it. But this is with the new stuff, right? That one was a little outdated. This is the new one for with the new changes that just came up and the new changes that are coming. I will also be covering those things, right? So without any further ado, let's jump into it. The first thing that we're gonna talk about, it's gonna be your gear, right? So we know that we can have either medium, heavy, or light. Now, how we pick those is it's our playstyle. Previously, I said that medium was medium was king, but with the new changes, medium it's no longer king, right? Medium still extremely powerful, because you still have the hubs and you know, and you still have those animation canceling. But the reason it's not king anymore is because of the new playstyle. And with that being said, light is coming in super strong. Why? Because now with the new playstyle, fire mages are playing further back into the battle perspective. We're not in the middle to close range anymore, right? Previously we were like that because the game was a lot slower. We were able to get out of sticky situations rather quickly, and if we were in range of the ice spike, of the rain, and it was a good spot for us because, like I said, the game was much slower, so we were able to get in and out of any situation. Now, with the new changes, the game getting so much faster, the gravity well being so strong, how strong it is, so we retreated a little bit back into the lanes with the changes of Pillar of Fire and Fireball being able to crit. Now we don't need to be in the front lines anymore. We can stay back and still pump those high numbers and still be the artillery class that we were meant to be from the beginning. So yeah, that's why light will be now better than ever, because if you can stay back and not receive any damage, light will be so freaking good. I still choose medium over light because of my playstyle. I like to do a lot of 1v1s, and I've been playing with medium for so long. And the light tumble, it feels, for me, it feels like it progressed too much, right? Like I know that from here to here, the hop will leave me right on the edge, right? But I cannot do that with light. If I do this with light, I'll end it up like all the way down there, you know? So that's something that I don't like about the light hop. You know, it's how limited I feel to where can I roll and not roll, right? Like if I'm in a low mobility area like this, and I still want to take advantage of my gambit gem, I can just dodge right. In this case, I fucking fell. Terrible example, but you know what I mean, right? If I was light, you're gonna fall all the way from like over here because of how long that roll is. So for me, I still favor medium over light, but that is just my play style. But I'm putting it out there. If you want to go light, now is the moment, and I totally recommend it if you want to pump those high numbers and high damage, high reward, baby. Let's see. The next thing we're gonna talk about now is gonna be the attributes. Attributes. I covered this on the previous video, but I cover it again, right? Like obviously, I'm gonna do this every time that I make a new guide. So on the previous video, I said it that my build wanted to be 50 dexterity. Here, you know what? I'll pop the food just because, so we can all see exactly what I'm talking about. All right. So my attributes are 50 dexterity, 300 intelligence, and then whatever you have left over, you can put it into Constitution. Minimum, I will recommend 150 Constitution, just because of the 150 Constitution perk. 10% reduction to critical damage taken. This is big because of the game being so crit biased and so many weapons having crit out there. Having critical damage reduction it's insane, right? This is so good that you cannot miss it. Now, if you're wearing light gear, then it's up to you how low do you want to go. If you want to go with 100 constitution, go with 100 constitution. If you want to go with 50 constitution, go with a 50 constitution. All I'm saying is you're probably gonna get one-shotted, and probably you won't see the fruition of your build if you get targeted. Like for example, me, I get targeted in wars constantly. If I have less than 150 constitution, I'll get killed by 2 musket shots, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you are one of the priority targets whenever those wars happen, and then they have the musket team in the enemy, in the enemy ramparts, and you are in the open, they're gonna shoot you down. And if you have less than 150 constitution, guys, you will melt almost immediately, right? So do it at your own risk. So this is what I recommend. The reason I recommend 50 dexterity is because, once again, guys, crit fireball can crit, so we want as much crit as we possibly can have. This is the moment. If crit rate was good before because of all of the crit attributes that the fire mages have, crit rate is now it's even better now, guys. Having the extra 5%, I will do the math a little later, and you guys see how this will come in handy. Let's see the attributes. The food. Listen, the food, it can be anything that you want, right? The food that I recommend for my build is, like I said, as long as it gets you to the 50 dexterity, 300 intelligence, and 150 constitution. It doesn't even have to take you to 300 intelligence, right? As long as it takes you somewhat close to 300, but as long as you had the 150 constitution, you'll be good. So depending which gear you have, where do your attributes allocation for your gear is, mines are all over the place, and I have a good mix around here that makes me hit exactly the 50 dex, the 300 intelligence, and the 150 constitution. So like I said, depending on the attributes that you have in your gear, you can go with that, and as long as you meet this milestones right here, right? Yeah, that does it for food and the attributes. The next thing we're gonna talk about now is going to be the gear, right? And what I mean by the gear, it's the perks and yeah, I mean perks in general. We already talked about light, medium. Listen, I will do some recommendations at the end of the video where I will cover also medium and heavy gear for the new fire mages that are coming, but that is in, a little further from now. So gear, if you want to be the best mage in the current meta right now, you 100% gonna need Empower and Fireball. Like I said, Fireball being able to crit once again, baby, with this right here, with Empower and Fireball, you can hit those 4, 5, even 6,000 crit with those Fireball, dude. There's nothing more satisfying than just one-shotting one of those musket user with a Fireball and a basic attack. Like the Fireball hit him for like 90% of their health, and then the basic attack comes in and boom, immediately dead, baby. Immediately the Fireball is doing so much damage now. So yes, you 100% going to need Empowering Fireball. The next one you're going to need is going to be Refreshing Pillar of Fire. Refreshing Pillar of Fire now casts super freaking quick, and it's gotten a lot better than it was before, if you ask me. Before, yes, you could do the animation canceling, but man, does the new one feel so much quicker and so much rewarding. So yes, you're going to need 100% Refreshing Pillar of Fire. So those two are the main ones you're gonna need for fire. For ice, the one that I recommend, like I said before, is Unending Thaw. If you can have Unending Thaw on your ice gauntlet, it will maximize how you do PvP in general, because as soon as you put the blizzard on top of their head, even if they moved out of the blizzard for the next 2 seconds, they will still be frozen, and you can still hit them with a heavy attack and still freeze them, right? Plus, again, you use this to catch them up, to slow them down. Just the utility of everybody being slowed down for an extra 2 seconds after leaving the storm is just huge. After that, what I would recommend, guys, is refreshing, right? Refreshing, it's really good. Like I said before, refreshing is one of these ones that you can stack on like unlimited amount of time, and so it would just make your build even stronger. Now that we're back in the line, and we want to be unleashing those fireballs constantly back to back, with the pillars of fires and the blizzard. So now refreshing again is more valuable than ever, because we're an artillery mage. We're back at it in the line, and so we don't want to get hit, and we just want to unload those damages. If it is not refreshing, you can hit it up with a refreshing evasion to mix and match in there, you know. So you can have a combination of refreshing evasion with refreshing. You see, as I have refreshing on my weapon, refreshing in my gloves, refreshing evasion on my gauntlets, I have refreshing on my jewelries, as you can see over here. So as much refreshing as you can stack, the better. Some other ones are good. Honorable mentions, you have resilient, which it's extremely good as well. You have some other things like invigorated. It's not in the one of the best tiers. Healing Tome, it's okay. You get that extra 10% health, especially in the 1v1. It's really good when you have full mana. Now, have in mind that Healing Tome at the moment it's not working how it's supposed to, because it only gives you the 10% of your health whenever you exit the ice block through the right click. If you know what I'm talking about, the ice block can be exited 3 ways. You can exit with a left click for the explosion. You can exit with a shift for the dodge, or you can exit with a right click just to break the entomb and just keep on walking. The only way that you get in the 10% health is if you break it with a right click, and you know that's wrong. So on the next patch, they're fixing it that whenever you dodge, you can also get the extra 10% health. And I don't know if they're gonna add it to the one that you break it. Honestly, I don't think they will, since whenever you break it, you use 10 mana. So realistically, you don't have 100% mana by the time you get out. But if you can get some of these perks, you know, extra in your gear, it's a bonus, right? It doesn't hurt. Here I was going for refreshing, but Healing Tome came out, so I took it and I went with it. For my pants, like I said, I have refreshing Pillar of Fire and refreshing Evasion. Unfortunately, for the third perk, it was not a good perk. And for my boots, I use several boots. The boots that I'm using now is these boots, because I've been trolling lately in OPR with a flamethrower. And I will talk about the flamethrowers a little later, but some of the time when I'm doing something else, I use these boots that they give me omnidirectional evade. You guys know that I use rapier a lot, especially for PvE, and sometimes I use it for PvP as well. And as you can see here, the refreshing, the omnidirectional evade, and the elemental aversion, this is extremely good pair for, you know, to fight against mages or to fight against a mutation, because of all of the elemental damage. For the accessories, for the amulet, I recommend that you have divine and health. This is 100% my 2 recommended perks for the amulet. Whatever you're gonna get for the third perk, that's up to you, but as long as you have divine and health, you're good to go, right? For the ring, I totally and 100% recommend the Lazarus featherweight ring. Chartis drops this ring, is the last boss from Lazarus. This is by far probably one of the best rings in the game. It comes, you know, it comes in just farming the dude, so you don't even have to craft it. You don't have to spend hundreds of thousands of gold trying to craft it or buy it out of somebody else. It has all of the things that you need. It has that keen awareness for the fireball crit. It has the hardy, so you can dodge more time. If you're wearing light gear or heavy gear, you'll be able to dodge 3 times. If you're wearing medium gear, you'll be able to dodge more time. And then it has the refreshing that we talked about. And it also has the 25 dexterity that it helps to get to the 50 dexterity even quicker, right? Therefore, the featherweight ring, it's such an amazing ring for this build, guys. And then last but not least, for the earrings, I'll recommend that you guys have regenerating, and I think that the other one will be what is it called, nimble. If you could get regenerating and nimble and refreshing, that will be the extremely best earring right there. Shit, it's a nimble from earring or ring, I don't remember. But listen, as long as you have regenerating and another one of the very good on the earrings, by all means, that's the way you go. You're regenerating, it's by far one of the best ones for the earring. This one, I crafted this one myself. It was one hell of a, you know, super lucky. I think I only spent like $20,000 in materials, and I got this one. Still, it was profit, all right? For the weapons, the weapon that I recommend, going back to it, it's the Crystalline Curse. Weapons like Winter Witch, that were really good for the Ice Spike, and maybe you can craft a better weapon, a better Ice Gauntlet with better perks. Like, it's just that I don't know, since the new meta right now, well, I mean, not the new meta, the recommended meta is playing the long range mage class once more. So the Ice Gauntlet, it comes back to being a support weapon, more of an aggressive weapon. So we're using it once again with a block, we're using it once again with a rain, just to keep the enemies away, keep the good damage from afar, and have that survivability, right? But we're not using it as offensive as they were before. So, and since the Crystalline Curse has the Unending Thaw, the Refreshing Move, and the Enchanted, so you can land a heavy attack or two, it's really good. Plus, you can craft this weapon, so I totally 100% recommend. If you don't have a super biz Ice Gauntlet with some perks that are, you know, are out of this world, I still recommend the Crystalline Curse. For your Fire Staff, the first one that I would recommend is 100% the Firebind Battle Staff. This one, it's not the best one in damage output anymore with the new iteration of the attunements, but it's extremely free. You can go to Genesis, farm it for like a day, and probably get a 600, right? And if you don't get a 600, more than likely you will get it close to 600. So you go ahead and just upgrade it, no problem whatsoever. If you want a better staff than the Firebind Battle Staff, then you will have something that is Keen Vicious and the Fire Attunement that gives you that 50% weapon damage every 2 seconds whenever you do fire damage. That is insane. Increases the damage by your Fire Staff output from like 5 to 10%, which is pretty good if you're trying to mix max, right? All right, so that pretty much covers the whole gear. Let's see, gear, attribute, food. All right, that's it. So let's jump into the skills, right? So as you can see here, I resetted both my Fire Staff and Ice Gauntlet because I want to start from the beginning. I am not going to go in depth into what each ability do, because I hope that you already have an understanding of what the Mage class, plus if you don't have an understanding of what the abilities do, you can go ahead in your own time, read the abilities, and then you will understand what I mean, why I'm picking these abilities, right? First, I'm going to do PvP. But pretty much my PvP build, it goes well with PvE, but I will tell you which of those abilities are the ones that you need to switch around so you are better in PvP or PvE, right? So starting 100%, we're going to go with the 3 Pillar of Fire. The reason we're going to go with the 3 Pillar of Fire is because we know that we need the 10% mana every time we hit one of the targets, right? Excuse me. Without this, you will run out of mana in both PvE and PvP, like no questions asked. Then we're gonna need this 3 right here. Well, we're gonna start with this 2. This one is the heavy attacks, 10% cooldown reduction every time you hit with a heavy attack. This is super big because, like I said, we are now focused more than ever on abilities, guys. So if we have Fireball on cooldown, if we have Pillar of Fire on cooldown, we're gonna switch to the Blizzard and we're gonna put the Blizzard down. But what happens if you have all of those 3 abilities on cooldown? Well, you pull out the Fire Staff and you do like 1, 2, or heavy attacks. If you hit a target, baby, that's like 10, 20, 30% of all of your cooldowns or your fire cooldowns down, meaning that you're gonna be able to pop those abilities even more often, right? We're gonna 100% gonna get Clear Mind. This is a no-brainer. And then for the Fireball, we only gonna get the first one, right? I know that previously in the previous video I said that the 9-second field was pretty good, but listen, it is not that good. I through so many testing, you only won 1 point in Fireball, and the last one you will never ever please play catch. Don't ever play catch. Every time you throw the Fireball, aim to their feet. The only time that you hit somebody with a direct hit of Fireball is if they walk in front of you and they eat the Fireball to the face by complete accident, collateral damage, right? Now with the increase of the explosion of Fireball, I totally recommend to use Fireball to the ground even more, right? So you only won 1 point on Fireball. You don't need the rest because we're gonna need those points, right? We're gonna need Clear Casting. Like I said, we're in the back. 5 extra % damage if you haven't taken damage in in the last 3 seconds. This is good for both PvP and PvE, right? And then these 3 here, these 3 you need it. This is the iconic trio over here. While holding Fire Staff, your critical damage is increased by 15%, and your Fire Staff ability gain extra 10% critical strike. And then this one, you need it. Heavy attacks no longer consume mana, and when you mix this one with this one and this one, you'll see how these 3 synergize. One gives you 5% mana, the other one gives you 10% cooldown reduction, and the other one gives you that your basic attacks, heavy attacks, don't consume mana no more. And then 100% we're gonna do Ring of Helios, because we know that this is where that big damage comes from, right? So that is it for the left side of the build for the Fire Mage. Now we're gonna jump into the right side of the build. We're 100% gonna go with Pyromania. This is a no-brainer. And then we're 100% gonna go with Let It Burn, right? because now since Fireball can crit, we can take advantage of Washer Burn. So we're gonna be with Letter Burn the whole time, getting that 10% 45 almost all of the time. We're gonna need the 3 points in burn now 100%, because you need that heat up to go further 50%. If you don't have this, you are a dead fish out of the water, baby. When you use that burn now, you're not gonna get further anywhere. You like I said before, if you get a gangbang by a bunch of dudes and you try to use a burn now and you only have the first burn now, but you don't have the the heat up right here, that's gonna be a small PP burnout, right? So the gang of dude, they're like, where you going, bitch? They're gonna grab you back by the neck and they're gonna still doing whatever they're doing, right? So there is that. We're gonna apply those points. Now we have 2 points. This, it's up to you, right? This is 100% up to you. With the current meta, I totally recommend that you go with this one right here, Watch Your Burn, because like I said, you're gonna be burning the targets with your Fireball, you're gonna be burning the targets with your Pillar of Fire, and you're gonna be burning the target with Burnout. So if you can have that uptime of that 10% 45 all of the time, it's why not take it? And then let's get with combat speed. The reason we go in combat speed now is because I will show you some little tricks later on how this can be very effective for the open world and PvP, right? So right here, this is your bread and butter PvP / somewhat PvE, all right? If you were to switch something from this build into the PvE build, I don't know, maybe you will go with Kindle instead of the combat speed, because you don't want that combat speed as often in PvE, given that you're not moving all of the time, and as a fire mage you should not be getting targeted if you have a good tank, right? So this is the only thing that I would change for PvE if you play in this build, right? And the way this build functions, as I have played and stated before, is gonna revolve around the Pillar of Fire and the Fireball being able to crit, right? And it goes, it's no different than before, guys. You're gonna hit with your basic attacks whenever you don't have any of the abilities, but the basic rotation is gonna start as follow. You're gonna hit with the Pillar of Fire, you're gonna roll Fireball, and as you can see, I have Pillar of Fire once more. You're gonna roll, and like that, Pillar of Fire, and this never ends right here, right? This is the way to go. This is still the way that Fire Mage plays. Nothing changes, baby. Right here, this is what Fire Mage is still the top in the PvP because of all of this, right? Because of this juicy damage. Fireball, like I said, they can now crit. So nothing changes for the rotation of Fire Mage. We're gonna keep on doing the same thing, which is spamming the Pillar of Fire, because thanks to the refreshing Pillar of Fire, Pillar of Fire can be spammed all of the time without any downtime. And then between those times, you're gonna use your Fireball to fill in the gap. And that, since Fireball can now crit, always 100% use Fireball off of cooldown. And also, since it's leaving the burning floor, it's good. If the enemies is close to you or you get hit by a gravity well, please go ahead and use a burnout out of the area. If you can at least land 1 or 2 burns before you get out of there, please try to do. Remember, even though because we use him burn now defensively, that doesn't mean that we can burn the target before we leave, right? Have that in mind. Burnout deals a pretty good amount of damage, and not only that, it refreshes your ability cooldowns. If you see, I have my Fireball in 10 seconds. If I go here and I hit 2 target, boom. That went from 8 seconds to 6 seconds by hitting 2 target. Every time you hit 1 target, it reduces the cooldown by 10%. So there it is. That is the fire tree and the fire playstyle. The fire perks that I already explained is going to be Fireball, Empowering Fireball, and Refreshing Pillar of Fire. And right there, that's for the Fire Mage. It doesn't change much, guys. It doesn't change much that it was before, right? So now we're gonna change into the Ice Tree. The Ice Tree, it hasn't changed much other than now we're no longer using Ice Spike. In the previous 1000 hour Guy Mage, I said that Ice Spike was the bread and butter, and you guys know that it was. For the longest time, it was so freaking good to be able to one-shot those squishy people with Ice Spike. And listen, Ice Spike is not bad. It's not bad. It's just that with the new meta, the game being so fast and the melee being so powerful, being in the Ice Spike range is extremely dangerous. So it's not that I don't recommend it. It's just that I don't advise it, right? So for starters, we're gonna go with the same build. We're gonna go to every single one of these abilities here. We 100% gonna need Punishing Storm, because you guys know that this is one of the best. This one right here makes Ice Storm be, the strong ability that it is. We're gonna need everything because we need to make our way down to Ultimate Shield. The reason we get some of these are because, again, we need to make it down to ultimate shield. 100% I recommend that you go with heavy freeze. By the way, this is for PvP, right? I will cover the PvE in a second. Heavy freeze is still 100% recommended for PvP because of that 1 second freeze. And 100% we need critical frost. If you don't get critical frost, you won't be able to land those crit rates whenever they are frozen with your basic attacks. Not as much as before with the ice spike was really strong, but still this is a good ability to take. And anyways, we need to take it because we need to make our way to ultimate shield, right? And the rest over here, they're just good stuff that come with the build. With that being said, we're gonna jump to the right side. Here it's up to you. If you find yourself blocking from time to time, you can get the blocking stamina. If you find yourself in a frosted area, most of the time, then you can go with quick frost. Since we're not gonna be in frosted area as much because, like I said, we're gonna be a little further back. We're going to be with blocking stamina. We're gonna go with the rain over here. Now, I'm not gonna pick the last perk just yet because I will tell you guys something that you can switch for that later on. We 100% going to need Defiant Freeze. And here, check this out. We need that. So here's where it comes in, right? So either you go with the frigid showers, which makes you a little more offensively viable because you give the enemy that 10% rend, or you could go with a more defensive approach and go with Defiant Freeze. This means that if somebody's close to you and you use a nice ability, you get that nice 20% 45 for 2 seconds. I know it's not that much, but 2 seconds, it's enough for them to land 2 basic attacks. If you hit them with a blizzard, if you throw the freaking rain and they still pull in an attack or 2. And like I said, we're trying to be as defensive as we possibly can with the Ice Gauntlet because the Fire Staff now is so offensive that we really don't need the Ice Gauntlet to compensate, right? All we need the Ice Gauntlet for is to throw the blizzard down and switch back to the Fire Staff and keep on unloading those artillery damage, right? So this is what I recommend. If you're gonna be very offensive and you're gonna be attacking and hitting people with a shower and following up damage with that, then go ahead and get the 10% rend, right? If you want a more defensive approach, go ahead and get the Defiant Freeze. If you feel like you're, I don't know, for PvE, this one is the one that I will recommend, but I will get that one later on. So these two are the ones that you will pick and choose, right? In this case, I'm gonna go with this one. Like I said, you don't have to go this way, but this is the way that I recommend. We're gonna go back to this over here and right here. So this is the play style. The play style will go as follow. You will do the Pillar of Fire, you will do your Fireball, you will switch to the Blizzard, you will put it down, and then you will keep on doing your Fire Staff rotation, right? And then whenever the Blizzard is good to go again, you will switch to the Blizzard, put it down, and this is how you play Fire and Ice in War, right? This is the main rotation, and this is what I recommend to anybody right here, just like that. You see, this is the main rotation for Fire and Ice. Now, if somebody gets close to you, like I said, you hit them with a shower, you either burn out or you have Ice Block, right? So look at this. You have all of these survivability tools. You have the rain, you have the burnout, and you have the Ice Block. The Ice Block is extremely good because if you get hit by a gravity well and you don't have time to react, or if you know that a CC is gonna follow up, so you have no time to hit the burnout, you go ahead, you use Ice Block, you wait for those timers to go out or the cooldowns to come back. So we basically have 3 abilities of utility and you know, to get away from any nasty situation, and we have 3 offensive abilities that we can rotate back to back. So right here, this is the best output for PvE, for PvP Fire and Ice Mage, right? You know, it doesn't change much from what you guys are seeing before, but that's just how it is. The game is just now more fluent with the Pillar of Fire being, you know, so quick to cast like that. Like, look at that. You really need to find your time to do your dodges, because if you don't dodge now, you can get sucked in the Pillar of Fire animation and you will be here all day without even dodging. So that's why I recommend that you always keep on dodging, using your blizzards whenever they're off cooldown, and keep on doing your main rotation, right? So that is the Fire and Ice for PvE, right? Now, for PvP. For PvE, the only thing that you will be changing for the Fire Staff, like I said, if you want to get out of combat speed and you want to get Kindle, you can do that. But for the Ice Gauntlet, what I recommend for PvE, well, you can have your pick and choose, right? Ice Spike is still, I think, one of the best abilities for PvE by far, and it always will be, right? So we get Ice Spike over here. We're gonna get something like the Blizzard, right? And then we're gonna get the Pylon. We're gonna get the Pylon all the way up to here. We don't want to make our way to Ultimate Frost because we don't really need it, right? We don't really need Ultimate Frost. All we need is to stay over here. We're gonna go with this one. We're gonna get that ultimate shield, so every time that the enemy is on the Blizzard, they're going to receive 25% increased damage. We're going to need 100% critical rejuvenation. You guys know that. Without critical rejuvenation, we'll run out of mana almost immediately, and we will never be able to do that crazy ice damage output. So we have 2 points left. This one you can put them on whatever you want. I don't recommend that you put it on this one because basically we're never gonna be full stamina, because we're gonna be taking advantage of the Pylon shot, and the Pylon takes advantage when we use a dodge. When we use a dodge, so we're never gonna be full stamina, right? And here's where I recommend Refreshing Frost, a 100% must. And since you're gonna be in the freezing area most of the time, then you can go ahead and get Quick Frost. You can also get ahead and get Defiant Freeze. This is up to you. You pick and choose which one you want. In my case, you can. I'm gonna pick this one because why not, right? So here you can come with the Blizzard, the Ice Spike. You can keep them over here, and this one. The reason I recommend that you go with the Pylon for PvE is because the Pylon has a very nice damage, right? And if you could add your gear, something like let's see, something like this, right? If you could add something like this to your gear, where the Pylon deals that Pylon burst, the Pylon got buff recently. So instead of being a 1 meter for the Pylon burst, now it's 3 meters, meaning that if we put it over here, the explosion, well, you see, the explosion is somewhat big now. And guys, look at that. That is a pretty juicy damage. That is doing twice. Look at that. Just from the Ice Pylon alone, that is insane damage. And when you mix that with the rest, it deals in crazy, insane amount of consistent damage. So if we mix the Ice Pylon with something with the Ice Spike right here, and then we put the Blizzard on top, we know that the Ice Spike is back again, and we can, and we put a couple more shots over here. We have the Blizzard once more and the Ice Spike, and this never ends. I show you guys a video of the infinite, the infinite Ice Spike abilities, Ice Gauntlet abilities. So you can have the uptime of Blizzard and Ice Spike, 100% of the time, and this will never end. This is the build that I recommend for fire and ice for PvE. Like I said, you will be putting down your Pylon. You're gonna hit your Ice Spikes. You're gonna use your Blizzards, and then you see Ice Spike is back on cooldown. The Blizzard is almost on cooldown. Here we go. Put the Blizzard again. We hit him with the Ice Spikes again. Look at the cooldowns. They're almost ready. So as you can see, there you go. We hit him with the Ice Spike. We hit him with the Blizzard again. And I show you guys how this is very effective, even with the shower, right? The shower, this is equally effective. You have an uptime of your ice abilities at all the time. Whenever you're fighting a boss, if you're fighting like Syla or anything like that, you will have an amazing output damage, which is insane with the ice. So this is what I recommend for the ice PvE build, right? Now that we covered the ice PvE build, and the fire PvE build, and the fire and ice PvP build, what's next? Let's see. Guys, I think that's it. I think that pretty much covers it. I show you guys how to do the ice PvP and with the fire, and the ice PvE with the fire. Now the last thing that I can tell you guys, it's a little tricks that I've been learning this whole time, and those tricks are with the right here with these two abilities. And if some of you don't know this, but if the way that you cast these two abilities matter a lot, and for example, what I mean by that is if you cast your Blizzard, right, and then you want to cast Rain, look how long does it take for you to be able to cast a Rain, right? So if you use your Blizzard first and then you follow it by the Rain, there's a huge lost time that I don't recommend that you ever do. So instead, what I will recommend for you to do is first use the Rain and then use the Blizzard. And I'm gonna show you exactly how that looks now. So if you first use the rain and then the blister, you can use them almost back to back without any downtime. And check it out. So we use the rain and we use the blister. You guys saw how quick that was? That was extremely freaking quick. So at any given time that you have both your blisters and your rain of cooldown, please use your rain first and then use your blister. I'm gonna use the blister and the rain once more so you see exactly what I'm talking about. How much longer does it take for you to use those abilities? And look at this. Blister and then rain. Did you guys see that? It was like almost 2 seconds that you couldn't cast any abilities because of the blister animation. So this is why I recommend that you use first rain and then the blister. The second trick that I have for you guys, this one was brought to me by one of my mods. It's Coke, an amazing friend. Thank you so much. So if you have like I was saying, if you had the perk of combat speed right here, we previously noted that whenever you use one of these abilities, you will get the movement speed, right? But we know how we're juking all the time with burnout. But check this out, check this out, guys. If you use burnout, right, but cancel the animation, you still get the speed buff without any movement drawback, right? Because if we use a fireball, you know how we have to walk for like a half a second until we can start running again now. But if you use with a burnout, check this out. Use burnout, you cancel the animation, and look, we have the speed buff, and now you run the full second, and when it's about to get out, you can use the burnout for maximum travel distance, right? And this is the way that I'm showing you. If you use a fireball, you have the movement speed buff, but you have to wait until he finish moving. So you realistically start moving when the ability is in about 4-second duration. So if you're gonna use this ability, like let's say you're running from a bunch of people, you're gonna go ahead, use the burnout juke, get the 10% movement speed, and then when it's about to run out, you can go ahead and use burnout once again. This is some little, tricks here and there for mix and maxing. And guys, I think that's it, boys. I think that's it. That pretty much covers it everything for fire and ice PvP and PvE with the current meta. Now, like I said before, I wanted to cover up some things that might change in the future and some things that you might need to be looking forward when playing fire mages, especially if you're planning on playing the fire mage for a little longer, right? And guys, what I'm talking about is the flamethrower. The flamethrower is making a huge comeback, right? We know that flamethrower already got a little, tweaks and fixes here and there that is making the flamethrower move a little faster. But what they doing for the next patch, they taking the stack from the flamethrower and they reducing it to half. So for an instance, right? If we get all the skills here for flamethrowers, by the way, if you want to use flamethrower, these are the skills that I recommend 100 million %. You're gonna need all of these right here. You want to make your way to fireball, so it doesn't really matter which one of these you get up here. You only want 1 point in fireball. You want a point in this two right here, the one that gives you critical damage and critical rate, right? And you're gonna need this one. Maybe not. You can play around. You don't really need that one, and maybe you can go ahead and get reheat, right? But as long as you have watch your burn, as long as you have combat speed, and as long as you have kindle, and as long as you have burnout with a flamethrower and 1 point in fireball, this is all you need for your flamethrower build, right? And how this one will function, it's as follow. You will try to get the enemy with the rain over here, then switch to the fireball and hit him with a flamethrower, right? So that is the main rotation with the flamethrower ice gauntlet build. Now, what I was saying for the flamethrower. So now for the flamethrower, you need to stack this dot up to 10 times, meaning that you need to hit the target 10 times, or if you crit them from behind, or if you crit them in general, because of watcher burn, we're gonna add 2 stacks of burn. So now we need to be hitting the target for either 10 times if it doesn't crit a single time, or 5 times if they crit, meaning that if we crit, we get 2 stacks. If we don't crit, we get 1 stack. And these stacks, they only do 3% damage, right? 3% damage per stack, meaning that at 10 stacks, it's only 30% weapon damage, and 1 stack goes down every second, so it's not that good. But for the next patch, they are buffing the shit out of this, meaning that it's going from 10 stacks to 5 stacks, meaning that you only need to burn the target for half of the time. And they're also increasing the damage from 3% to 6%, meaning that it's going to do the same exact damage, but we need to burn the target for a loss less now. So before we needed to sit there for a long time. With the new patches that are coming up, we only gonna need to sit there for a quick second. And if we crit, oh my god, we only need to hold the fire staff there for like two seconds before the target has the maximum amount of fire stack and is gonna be getting that consistent fire damage. So meaning that we now going to be doing 100% of the flamethrower damage at 50% of the time, meaning that it's going to be really good. So this is where I start recommending to start looking forward into some pieces of armor, like something like this, right? Like the accelerating flamethrower is going to be something, guys, that I need you to start looking forward for the next patch, especially if you're trying to stay competitive. I have fought many people and many people out there, mages and warriors alike, and flamethrower, it's a you know how I like to say it's a sleeping giant, right? Flamethrower can make a huge comeback. I was using it about 2 nights in OPR ago, and I was having so much fun. And then in last night OPR, there was like 20 motherfuckers with flamethrowers. Like people started seeing whenever you bring up these new changes, this new iteration to the game, and these new metas that starts to shine. And flamethrower, it's making a huge comeback, and I totally recommend it once again. So with that being said, the flamethrower build can bring back the heavy, or you can even go with the crazy light gear flamethrower, and you can do some crazy damage, but you also be somewhat squishy. But because of the ice gauntlet, which you have in Tom, you have the rain and you have the blizzard, you have crazy survivability with the burnout, you might be able to still do crazy things even with light gear and flamethrower. Heavy gear flamethrower, this one might make a huge comeback, right? It might make a huge comeback, especially if you mix it up with some of the void gauntlet or ice gauntlets. So yeah, that's it. That 100% does it right there, guys. If you have any questions, please hit me up. If I missed anything, also please leave a comment on the section below. More than likely, listen, I read every single one of you guys' comment, right? Every single one of you guys' comments, I read it, and I try to respond to every single one of them. And if you guys bring up any new idea, oh, before I forget, one of the comments on the previous video, they said that the attunements work with the ice pylon, meaning that if you have fire attunement or any sort of attunement in your ice gauntlet, right, and you put the pylon down, your pylon will activate the fire or whatever attunement you have in the ice gauntlet, right? So that's something to have in mind. If you want to maximize your damage even more, you can have on your ice gauntlet, for a perfect PVE ice gauntlet, you can have the attunement, enchanted, and refreshing move, since you can have a pylon burst in your gear. And then if you have those 3 perks, an attunement, refreshing move, and enchanted, you will have the golden ice gauntlet right there for PVE damage. So yes, like I was saying, if you have any comment, any question, any ideas, please go ahead and put it in the comment section below. Like I said, I will 100% read it, and I more than likely I will answer, and if it is a good idea, I'll probably make a video out of it. And that's it. If you guys don't know, I stream on Twitch almost every single night, starting 9 p.m. unless there's a war sooner, right? If there's like a war at 8 p.m., then I will start at 8 p.m. I do OPR every single day, and I'm at the top of the PvP meta. So if you guys have any question about any classes, not only has to be mages, it's just that mages is what I specialize on, right? The tricks and tips is mostly for mages, but since I'm consistently fighting all the people out there, I know how to counter and what to tell you how to fight these classes. Come in if you have any crazy idea about attributes and builds. I like to have fun with my community, trying new weapons and whatever you guys recommend every night on Twitch. So yes, thank you for staying all the way into the end of the video, and a massive, humongous thanks to all of those that support the channel in more than one way. Thank you guys so much, and I see you all on the next video. Cheers.